I'm here with Amanda Cooper. Amanda, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm trying to stay warm. It's a little bit chilly in Michigan.
Definitely is.
Where exactly are you located?
I live in Fowlerville, which is probably 30 minutes north of Detroit. So
You're in my
uh,
backyard.
I am. Well, the gym is in Brighton, and that's probably only 20 minutes away. So
That is great. There's nothing better than being close to the gym, right?
right.
You know, you suffered a pretty terrible injury, to your knee, and it's not something I want to dwell on, obviously. But how are you feeling? How is the knee coming? How's the recovery?
I feel good. I thought it would be a little bit sooner that I would feel better, but it's definitely slow, but it's getting better. I mean, I'm glad that I can at least come into the gym, and I do a lot of circuit training, and I'm trying to get back into lifting to get the muscles to get the strength back that they lost. But it's hard not being able to do 100% of everything that I'm used to. The wrestling, the jiu-jitsu is hard on my knee, so I'm just taking it slow. The doctor said if I had just torn my ACL, it probably would have been faster, but I tore my MCL and my LCL, so all three of them had to get reconstructed. So definitely process is slow, but it's better than it was 2 months ago. It's better than it was last month, so I'm thankful.
That's you know what, and I've had a lot of injuries myself, and I can tell you, it is for me. It's the mental side. Has it affected you? I mean, I went through the whole gamut of the depression at first and everything to actually becoming empowered by it. Is it affected you that way? Is there anything you could speak to as far as the mental side of the injury like this?
Yeah, the mental side is obviously the worst. I knew for a year that I needed the surgery. I actually fought my first pro fight on a torn ACL. My training camps are kind of, I still went to the gym every day, but it was, I couldn't do 100% because I knew my knee would pop out and I would be out for a week. So I kind of just did the bare minimum to get by. A lot of cardio, a lot of boxing, but I couldn't do a whole lot of grappling because of the knee injury I knew would pop out. But it took about a year for me to get the surgery. Luckily, my dad broke his collarbone and paid my deductible, so I could afford the surgery. Yeah, the mental. I felt a little bit like you said that your depression came early on. Mine didn't. Mine came later on because I knew I needed the surgery for so long, and I was just so happy to finally be getting it. So I knew that I could get healed. So in the beginning, it was just hurtful or hurting. My knee itself was hurt, but not really my mental state. Then it came like later on. A couple months later, I thought I was farther than I was at the time. And then another month goes by, and I'm not where I wanted to be. So that's kind of the depressive state that I was in. Definitely, I'm very happy for my teammates to be succeeding and all the other girls and Invicta and everything like that. But seeing people that were still amateur while I was pro and then seeing them be successful pros, and it was kind of like, oh, that's where I'm supposed to be. That was definitely, it's still hard for me to see. But I've been in the gym training, which feels good. And I just feel like the most depressive spot for me is knowing how far I am away from fighting. And right now, this is my life. I train just training and doing private lessons with people. So not being able to do what I love all the time is hard on me. But like I said to you before that it's definitely a good thing for me because I haven't really had anything bad happen to me. Never had an injury. I've actually been boxing for 12 years and never had a bloody nose. I've never had any injury whatsoever. So never anything that's put me out of training, that's for sure. So this is definitely a little bit eye-opening, and I feel like I say this, but I say I'll never complain about a drill again. I tell my boyfriend that I won't complain about rolling with you. I won't complain about getting choked out, but I probably end up will. But
that's amazing. You had said you had never even had so much as a bloody nose in boxing, and I've got a little bit of background there in boxing, and when I watch you fight, when I see you get in the pocket, it's one of those things. When you see a fighter get in the pocket and their eyes are open, they're playing a little catch and throw. Gosh, I love that. I love that. Is boxing, when you got started in boxing, what was it actually that got you going into that form of athletics, that form of competition to the boxing?
Well, my two sisters that are older than me, my one sister, she's what 5 years older than me. She played softball and was really good at it and stuff. But in the off season, she like got out of shape and stuff. So my dad, he former boxer, in the Marines and Golden Gloves, he got her into the boxing gym just to stay in shape. And then my other sister started going, and they both started boxing. And I was only about 10 years old when they started doing it. And I never wanted to get, I kind of was interested in it, but I didn't want to because I felt like it was their thing. And I was actually doing, I think, BMX at the time. Like I was riding bikes and stuff and racing them. And I didn't want to get into their sport. I just, but then think I was in sixth grade and I had like a girl come up and push me around and stuff like that. And I didn't do anything. I just kind of froze and stood there. I'm 10 years old, so I can't expect much for myself. But I remember like, the fear of like not doing anything was what scared me, that I just didn't do anything. I just kind of let her push me over and over again. So I started going to the boxing gym, wanted to beat her up basically is what I wanted. I didn't tell anyone that, but I just wanted to learn to punch someone, and I ended up never hitting anyone ever in my life other than being inside the ring. So that's how I got started into boxing. Had my first fight at 11.
You know what's amazing about that, Amanda, is I hear so. I mean, you would be shocked when I speak to fighters. They'll speak to their childhood and being bullied, and that having an issue and
Yeah.
getting them in. And it's always the really good fighters, and they speak really nice, and they're not the bullies. And
Right.
it's kind of funny how that works. But growing up, you were an athlete, and I
Yeah.
would assume you were a little bit of a tomboy. Is that correct?
Yeah, definitely. I did all sports growing up. I would get out of basketball practice at 3 to 5, and then go right to the gym and be there till 10, and then come home, and then I was always in sports and doing it. My mom is very girly, so I couldn't grow up too much being a tomboy. My oldest sister Amy actually, sorry,
Oh, that's
she
okay.
actually won prom queen with two black eyes the night after Golden Gloves. She fought and won Golden Gloves, and then went to prom the next day and won prom queen with two black eyes. So we were all fighters and stuff. So it was nice. But no, I stayed pretty girly. I mean, obviously in sports a lot, but I stayed pretty girly because of my mom.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And having siblings that are doing boxing, competing that way, it had to. I mean, it had to be rough in the house once in a while with the sisters, I imagine.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty. My older sister said anything I do to her, she's gonna do 10 times worse than me. So if I spilled water on her, she'd give me a swirly. And it was whatever. We got along for the most part, but there was definitely some incidents, some things that I probably regret too to my sisters.
I have that feeling. I grew up with all sisters myself,
Oh, nice.
so I was the only boy. So I learned about the power of women when they mass together.
Right.
I make sure that I shut the lid. I do all those nice things. Um, you know, my path that kind of got me into the combat thing was similar to what you're saying, and the bullying type, and you just kind of get into it. You don't have an idea, or I didn't want to do it, professionally or for a living, and I never did. But for you, was there a moment when you kind of had that epiphany where you were like, wow, I'm really good at this?
Not so much that I'm really good at this, because I wasn't in my boxing career. I wasn't like, crazy good. I went to nationals. I was runner up in nationals, and I won Golden Gloves. But I never really thought that I was like over and above everyone. It wasn't until I started doing MMA. And when I started doing MMA, I was and I just the reason I did MMA, started doing MMA is literally one day at the boxing gym, my dad told me that he thought I should just do one fight, and I was like, no, I don't want to do that. I like boxing, and he convinced me by the end of the night that just to try one time, just to see what my reactions were. He thought I would have good like natural wrestling reactions and stuff, and so I told him that okay, maybe one day I'll do it, no big deal. He actually called me the next day and told me I had a fight in 2 weeks. So that's the reason I got started into MMA, was just to do it, just to see how good I would be. But it wasn't until I started had like 3 or 4 fights that I actually knew that that's what I wanted to do. And the point, I guess you would say, that my realization that that was it, was I was in college and stuff, and I remember, obviously everyone at the, young after high school age goes through that. What do I want to be in my life? What do I want to do? Kind of like depressive, like state. All my friends are doing it. They had all, like, gone to college and then getting their majors, or doing what they love, and I was just doing basic math classes, not knowing anything what I was doing. And I remember coming home one night, to my dad and my stepmom, and I cried for like an hour and a half just because I didn't know what I wanted to do. And I was like, oh God, all my friends are doing this. I don't want to go to school. And I had jobs, and I hated working for people. That was my thing. I hated working for people. I wanted people to make me money. Like, I didn't want to make them money. And then my dad just said, my stepmom too, is you don't have to go to college if that's what you don't have to go to school, and you don't even know what you're doing. Why waste your money? And they kept asking me, like, what do you want to, what makes you happy? Like, what can you see yourself doing in the future that would make you happy? And I thought for like a couple days about it, and I honestly 100% couldn't think of anything other in my life than boxing that would make me happy. I was like, I can't imagine anything else making me happy. And it wasn't like I said, it wasn't because I was over and above, like, better than everyone. It's just because that was just what I enjoyed doing. I loved going to the boxing gym. The weirdest thing is I loved when people cheered for me. When people cheered for me, I just, like, my face lit up. I even told my dad a couple of times, like, in the corner, they're cheering for me. They're loud, I love making, being an entertainer and stuff. So that was when I knew, just because I couldn't think of my life I couldn't imagine doing anything else that would make me happy.
Well, a lot of guys will speak to that adrenaline dump, that feeling that you get in the pit of your stomach before you're going into combat.
Yeah.
It kind of becomes addictive. Do you have that feeling where, man, you miss that feeling so bad?
Yes, I did the scared, like, what am I gonna do? Why am I doing this feeling? It actually, like, during that feeling, I'm like, why do I do this? I shouldn't, like, I don't ever want this feeling again. But now that I, like, am not getting the feeling, I definitely do miss it. Mostly the feeling, like, after you win, because you're in a fight camp for so long, and you're dieting, and, you're irritable, and you're training so hard, and your mind is, for the 6 weeks or whatever, however long you have the training camp, you have this one girl, or guy, whatever, in your mind every day, all day. Like, when I'm training to fight someone, they're, like, constantly in my head. Like, I'm in the shower thinking about how I'm fighting them. Laying in bed thinking about it. I'm eating thinking about it. Whatever I'm doing, I'm thinking about that person in my head. So when you win and you finally get that relief, like, oh my God, it's over. That's the feeling I miss. Like, that relief feeling, like I just did something more than, like, I just gave it my all. Do you kind of know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
Everything you have, like, mentally, physically, emotionally, you gave it your all, and that feeling of giving everything your body has created, giving it all, is the thing that I miss the most. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's super empowering, especially when the results are positive. When you sacrifice, for all that amount of time, you're the eating, the dieting, the extreme training, the 2-a-days, and then getting in there, competing, and doing what you've been training to do, and coming out on top. That's a feeling that I guess you'd have to experience it to really understand that feeling of accomplishment.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I think about MMA, I think about, like, two people in a cage fighting for entertainment, to entertain, like, all these people around them. It kind of doesn't make sense to me. It almost feels like an animal, Like, I can't believe we're dumb enough to get in there to, like, try to hurt each other just to entertain other people. But now that I've done it and I've actually fell in love with the sport, it doesn't, to me, feel like I'm in a cage entertaining other people. It's more just for my personal progression, like, just to be a better human. And like, I know it sounds stupid to be punching people to be a better human, but it's not just the cage experience. It's the training leading up into it. It's the heartbreak. It's the getting tapped out every day to be okay with it and just keep learning and fail and fail and fail and fail. That's my personal progression. So when I fight and I win, that's just another level of my, like, personal progression, like, getting higher and getting, I'm just, character development, I guess. But that's how I feel.
Well, you're getting in there, and it's entertaining for people like me, the fans that are really sitting there and watching. but you're in there and you're competing. It's a competition. It is one-on-one. There's no excuses. You can't blame anybody.
Right.
Your job is to separate that person from their consciousness. And it's a brutal sport, but it's a sport. And you know what? It brings, what I found is, the irony to it is you have more respect as you see people get into martial arts.
Agree.
It really changes their lives, whether they go professional or not. The discipline involved, the respect involved. What I've seen is it really is a life changer. Did it have that effect on you when you got into martial arts?
I think so. I've actually made a video of my life, what it was like before martial arts, and I'm sure a lot of people have gone through the same thing. But and it's not just martial arts in general. It's the people that you meet in martial arts. It's like my team and my coaches, and my boyfriend is actually my coach. So it's before I met him and the rest of my the team that I'm at. I did boxing for a long time, but I met people and we would just party and drink and go out, and that was where are we going out on Friday night? It was every night. And that's just kind of the way I was seeing my life heading, was just I was kind of in college, not really doing anything, but partying a lot and not having too much care other than where's the party at. It just sounds so terrible. But once I started training at the Team SFS here in Brighton, and I saw everyone else's passion and everyone else's drive, it kind of like sparked me, my boyfriend especially, like just to see his love for the sport and love for his team. That's what got me to like kind of wake up and just say that this is what I need to do with my life. If I love it this much, I need to make it love me back. I need to put the time in, the effort, so after that, that's kind of my I wasn't into drugs or I didn't do anything, wasn't in jail or anything, but it definitely helped me change. And I see a lot of people come through the gym that may have been maybe in drugs or they have an addictive personality, but then you put MMA in their life and they're more addicted to that than anything. MMA has really helped a lot of people from our academy, whether it's like losing weight or just getting confidence back in them. A lot of people that do MMA, it's because they don't have the confidence, like you said, the bullying and stuff like that. They just have lack of confidence, and feeling good about yourself in martial arts gets you some confidence, and that's what's changed people's life.
Yeah, for sure, because it's, when that bully does get to you and you're not responding, it's not any physical issue. It's the pride, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's that pride factor, the self-esteem factor. Since you've gotten into MMA and you're doing well, for sure. Obviously, everybody's goal is to be the champ. They want to get that shot at the title. They want to get into the UFC. Women's MMA has come so far, so fast.
Right.
I'm curious. Did you ever expect in your wildest dreams? Did you ever think, wow, I'm gonna be fighting in the UFC. I'm gonna be fighting in Invicta. I mean, did that ever cross your mind?
No, I think I think that's a downfall in me, is I don't see the highest picture for myself. My boyfriend's always telling me, you're going to fight in the UFC, you're going to do this, he's the one that told me over and over again, you're going to fight for Invicta. And I'm always like, no way. They're awesome. Those girls are, man, they're it. I remember the first time I was still obviously a, beginning amateur when I watched my first Invicta. I was over at his house and he, was like, oh, Invicta tonight, let's watch that. And I was like, what's Invicta? I didn't know.
Yeah.
And he said, it's an all girls league. It's all women fighting, professional. I literally was like, there's no way that's actually a promotion. I would have heard about it. All women fighting. That's nuts. There's no way that happens. And we watched it. And I remember there's this couple of people that I watched, and I remember Tisha Torres is one of them. I remember her watching her fight, and I was just so blown away by the talent in the women. Luckily last year I got to go train with her, but I was watching that, and he was like, you're going to fight there one day. What if you were walking out? Imagine yourself walking out to that cage. And I was like, no way, that could never happen. That's so far away. And then when I got the call for Invicta, it was like reality set in, and, I can't wait to fight for them. But now it's like, oh, I just got to fight for the Invicta first before I even start thinking about the UFC. But I honestly just want to fight. I don't have, obviously you said everyone has a goal, fight in the UFC, win the title. Obviously that's my goal for like the community, I guess, or goal for like, because that's the highest thing you can get to. So that's why it would be my goal. But really, my goal is just fighting really good people and beating them. I mean, or just, you know, having good. I just want to know how good my skill set is and know that like I'm training right, and I want to bring my coaches and my team the name up. I want to make everyone proud. So my goal is just, you know, obviously I would love to win a UFC title, being that that's the highest point I can get to, and just getting that accomplishment would be awesome. But I want to just fight really good people, like my idols and stuff like that. I've said a couple times I want to fight Roxanne Modafferi, because she's just an idol of mine, and she's been doing it for so long. And to me, that would, you know, just fighting really good people. And I mean, obviously, I'm only 1-0 as a pro. I got to work my way up there. And that's what I'm trying to do, is, you know, earn my way to get to that point. But that's my goal, is just be good, just fight good people, and be proud of myself.
Well, you're definitely on your way to doing that, and you have to be proud to go from where you started to be where you're at now, and to be overcoming the injury and looking forward to getting back in there and in the cage. And I'm curious, when do you have a date, like a rough estimate of when you feel like you will be able to get back to training full time and give 100%?
I'm thinking I should hopefully be able to fight by the end of summer. I'm thinking that late spring I'll be able to start training fully 100%. I mean, I'm still training now. Unfortunately, my dog just had puppies, so I have to sit at home with them and take care of them because she just had surgery. So I'm kind of busy lately with the dogs. But I mean, I'm still training. I got a training gym in my basement with bags and mats and stuff like that my boyfriend and I train at. We also have a house full of fighters that live here, so a female too. So I can train here whenever I need to. And we're always, making sure everyone's eating the best and running and working out, and we're just kind of always on each other. My one roommate's always like, "Did you stretch? Did you stretch? Did you roll your muscles out? Do you feel better?" Like, he's always on me. So it's kind of nice just being surrounded by people that are doing the same thing that I am. So I'm hoping that in summer I'll be able to start fighting soon. I definitely can do boxing matches. I'm obviously fight pro boxing as well, so I should be able to do some pro boxing matches before my MMA fights. So at least that will get me in there.
Yeah, and there's something that I was going to ask you, and that is, when you're doing your boxing now, I was told that you're actually fighting southpaw now because of the injury and training. Do you feel like that's something that is really going to help you to go to the fight southpaw and really get practiced up with your other hands, as opposed to just being an orthodox fighter?
Yeah, definitely. I think it will help me a little bit more in MMA than boxing, switching stance and different, obviously, kicks and stuff like that. It's a good tool to have. Something that I've never really used. Something I've worked on a little bit, but not really ever put into my game. So I'm excited to be have enough training, enough confidence to actually use that inside the cage. In boxing, I definitely would be able to use it, but I just maybe eventually I will, but right now I just feel so strong in my orthodox stance that it's going to be hard to teach me, or like to learn to use the southpaw a little bit more. But I think with different like angles and different setups for different kicks and stuff like that for MMA, it's going to be really good to be using both. And kind of glad that the injury happened, that I can't pivot too much off my right leg, so the southpaw stance is good for me right now.
And you know what it is? You're exactly right, because when you're able to fight southpaw, obviously it opens up the liver keg.
Yeah.
And also, as a boxer, you understand the fact that you want to keep your foot outside of their foot and line that shoulder up so you could shoot that.
It's amazing how many people don't know how to fight a southpaw. Like, I was at the gym the other day sparring with a girl that's a southpaw, and she didn't understand it. And I'm like, how are you a southpaw, but you don't understand it? That should be day one of your fight stance, how you should be taught. So I'm sitting there like hitting her a bunch and lighting her up, and then it hit me. I'm like, that girl doesn't even know. I should let her know. She's a professional fighter. Yep. And I just couldn't even believe it. So I'm like, man, if this girl doesn't know, how many other people don't know how to deal with a southpaw? And I know that when I fight a southpaw, I even understand it, and it still messes with me. So to me, it's a really big advantage mentally. If I come out orthodox and one one round and then southpaw another round, it's gonna mess with my opponent's head. Like, oh, last round she was orthodox and she beat me up. Now this round, no. I think it's pretty good.
It is, because you know yourself, fighting orthodox, when you're fighting a southpaw that leads straight right down the pipe.
Right.
It's a home, and you keep it there. And the same fighting southpaw and in MMA, you're exactly right. I've noticed that as well. The striking is just at a different level, and maybe that's because people come in without having a base in striking. Maybe they're jiu-jitsu or wrestling.
Yeah.
How do you feel there's an advantage to having that base in boxing and in striking in general for you? Because, actually a lot of guys will say wrestling is the key because you're going to be able to determine where the fight goes.
I actually do agree with wrestlers. I mean, since I've been wrestling I think the big part of like learning to box before you do it is just the ability to like not be scared when you're hit. Like if you've boxed, you take a punch, you love a punch, you just take it and you give it back. Obviously the key is not getting hit, which is what you want to do. But a lot of people that I know that just start off with, especially, wrestlers too, they hate being hit, so they go for the takedown. So, but I agree, that's the only advantage of being a boxer, is just the ability to get hit and not be scared to hit other people. Some people actually are afraid to like throw punches at first. But I do agree that wrestling is a big factor, especially in the amateurs, because people are kind of, they have a little bit of a base maybe in something, or maybe some of them just started doing MMA, and wrestlers the grind, the cardio that they have. As an amateur, I think that wrestling, the wrestlers do have the biggest advantage. As the pros come, everyone's kind of good at everything. So it kind of, there's really good jiu-jitsu guys that will submit a wrestler, and everyone's starting to learn more. But honestly, just a base in any sport. Like if you just come in and you just want to learn MMA, I just started doing my striking, started doing wrestling, started doing jiu-jitsu. You'll always be really good, but you'll always be really good at everything, just not great at anything. And I think that that's a problem. Like most fighters, my boyfriend coach says that they need to figure out what they're good at, what they do in their fight. Like if I come into a fight, my goal is to knock that girl out. If I need to take the girl down and use my jiu-jitsu, I can, but I should always have what my fight is going to be like every time. Obviously, you game plan for different fighters, but if you're a jiu-jitsu guy that submits people, go in there and submit the guy. Don't try to stand with him, Yep. So I think that anyone that has a base in something is going to prevail farther than people that just do MMA.
I have to say I agree with you, because you see so many fighters abandon what got them to that level, and usually it's a guy that maybe gets a couple of KOs, and you know yourself, once you do that, it gets good to you. It's kind of hard to abandon that.
It is, yeah.
And basically everyone, you got to be well-rounded in this game. You have to be talented in every aspect. But you never want to abandon your strength, right? I mean, you want to continually work on your strength because it is your best attribute, let's say.
Yeah, I remember a fight specifically. I had been training a lot of wrestling and jiu-jitsu, and this girl was a jiu-jitsu girl, as she would say. So I wanted to beat her. I always want to beat my opponent in their area. It's so stupid to me. I always want to beat them in their area. I want to take her down and beat her at what she's good at. So the first 2 rounds, I'm like on the cage pretty much the whole fight, trying to take this girl down. Maybe I took her down once, she popped back up. Like it was just honestly a really boring fight. Me over and over trying to grab her, trying to take her down, It's just because I wanted to show everyone my stuff that I've been training. And then the 3rd round came, and in the corner, or before the 3rd round, my boyfriend said, if you try to take that girl down again and don't use your hands, I'm going to quit coaching you. Like, you just need to use your hands. You'll beat her. Use your hands. So I came out the 3rd round and never got touched. I just beat her up, on the hands. And it was easy like this, like done. And I was, at the end of it, I was like so kind of embarrassed that like I could have done that the 1st round. Why didn't I do this? She was an undefeated fighter. She had hype around her name, and I just thought I wanted to beat her at her area. And I probably could have, but why wait till the 5th round to do it, So I definitely should have listened to my coach a little bit earlier than that and just use my boxing. I just get stubborn and I want to win with what they're good at.
How is that, having your significant other, let's say, in your corner and coaching?
It's actually awesome. Like during my fights, I couldn't do it without him. I feel like when I win, that accomplishment of like me doing something great, it almost changes to like we did something great because we live together. We've lived together for 3 years. We train all the time together. He's like my training partner because we weigh the same. And he's constantly like there with me every day, all day. Like he sees every struggle I have. He sees all the emotional. He helps me through everything. So the feeling I get when I win is like we won, like, and if you've ever seen our fights, like especially after my pro debut, the celebration that we have is unbelievable because like you'll see actually now that I pointed out in all of my fights I do this. As soon as I win, I start looking around like, where is he? Where is he? Where is he? And then he'll just pop up out of nowhere and we'll hug or something. But I literally always am looking for him after my fight because like I want to celebrate that with him. Obviously it's a big accomplishment for me, myself, but I do feel like he does more for me than most people would ever do for someone. So I feel like he won too. Like, oh my God, it's over. We've done it. We trained enough to beat her. But the training is hard because I still have a really hard time looking at my boyfriend while he's punching me in the face. So he'll like tap me with a jab and I'll just hit him with a huge combo and try to knock him out. Only because he's a jiu-jitsu guy. He's had 15 fights and they're all first round submissions. So no question there. No question there. He's a jiu-jitsu guy. And I'm like from the big boxing background. So I'm very stubborn. I feel like I should be able to beat him up in the feet. So when we start sparring, I'm like, I'm going to show you a boxer, And then I have a hard time. I always want him to let me win, but he doesn't. He's strict with me. Yeah. So I don't know. It's hard training. It used to be a lot harder. We've actually got past it. I remember like a week straight, I wanted my blue belt, and I practiced like all day, every day. We actually took the mats and put them on our living room floor and moved everything away. So we only had living room floor. I got rid of our cable. So we only did jiu-jitsu whenever we wanted. We got home, we just did jiu-jitsu. I remember crying like every day straight for like 5 days because I was so stressed out about getting my blue belt. And then I just took a break and got better. But the having him around me is nice. I kind of take advantage of it a little bit more than I should have. But now that I've been injured, I can't wait to train with him.
I would love to hear some of those conversations. The day's over. You guys lay down to go to bed, and maybe he looks over and says, I let you hit me like that today. Right?
Right? Yeah. And he always feels bad because like he'll put me in a submission and I'll just give him like a pouty sad face and he'll just let go and I'm like, yes, score. He always says he needs to get rougher or like more mean with me because he's too nice to me. And we actually I don't know, you know who Andrea Lee is? Mm-hmm. You know who? Okay. Well, we train with her a lot, and one week I went down and trained with her and her husband, and I watched them spar, and I'm not kidding you. I was like sick to my stomach, thinking if James ever went that hard with me, I would have broke up with him 3 times. Like I couldn't even believe it. Like Donnie just, and he taught her too, so she was learning. It wasn't like he was just beating her up, but a couple of times he like kicked her and like swept her on the ground and stuff. I was like, oh my God. He was going hard with her, and that's just the way it needs to be. But in my mind, I'm like, oh God, I don't even let James Gray touch me, So kind of like I just need to suck it up and train with him. So he also lets his best friend, which is the assistant coach, beat up on me because that's like our best friend. Right. So he's allowed to punch me. I'm okay with it, but James is not allowed to.
that is classic. And you know what? I was always curious. I mean, the dynamic when you have a couple and then training and competing and helping each other out. And you're right, because after your fight, you can look and see on both of your faces, incredible elation, right? Just so happy. And it is a team thing. You are helping each other. So it's not just about that you're proud of yourself. You are actually proud that you just won and he helped you and you're.
Yeah. And how many couples get to do that? You know what I mean? We got to spend all day with each other, and we don't want to tear each other's heads off. We're always challenging each other. So, and honestly, I don't know. I can't think of a better relationship other than punching each other in the face. But we don't have much to argue about because we get it all settled in the gym. I don't know. I just think it's a really good way to spend the day, I guess, beating each other up. But no, we don't. We don't do that all day.
You see, that eliminates any of those issues because you're too tired. You've been in the gym all day long.
Yeah. And when when you feel like you just want the best for your, you know, significant other, when you just, I mean, it makes me sick thinking about if he would lose, if he lost, or if he got injured, or, you know, when you're constantly trying to seeing the emotions that a fighter goes through when they're, you know, especially like in a fight camp, you want the best for them. You know, why would I want to fight with you when, like, I know that you're going through, you know,
Yeah.
there's no time to, like, be mad at someone when they're like going for their dreams. You know, they're trying to, like, make their dreams into reality and do what they love, and there's just no ever a reason to, like, fight with someone that does that. You know, there's no, like, you were home late. Well, I mean, I do get mad at him for being always home late, so I can't say that, but I mean, there's just
The sacrifice.
you want the best for that person.
Yeah.
So if that's what it takes, you know, then that's just what's going to happen.
Well, you see the sacrifice. You see how much they're putting
And
into
I know what
it.
I have to go through, so I know he has to go through the same thing. You know, we just understand the feelings and especially like when we're cutting weight. You know, I'm angry. I'm like a different human being. So he sees it. You know, he knows what a toll it takes on someone mentally. So he's always really calm with me and easy with me, just because he's been there and he knows what it's like. If you don't know what it's like, you're just like, why are you acting like that? But and we understand what we go through.
Well, you know, that's a great point about cutting weight, because you know, nowadays you see a lot of fighters they have trouble at the scale. Maybe they're trying to cut too much weight to fight in a weight class. You know, I look at Frankie Edgar as a perfect example, as a guy that was at 155. He might have walked around a little over 160 or so.
Mm-hmm.
That was his natural weight, and he was a dominant champion. For weight cutting for you, do you find that you're able to maintain a healthy? I know you said in your house it's kind of like you have, kind of like the Grudge House, or a tough house, so to speak, where you've got fighters living there. Are you able to stay on track with the diet all the time and stay pretty, you know, pretty healthy going through, or do you have your splurges, your favorite little fast foods?
When I'm in a fight camp, I actually am really good with it. I'm like, because I see, like, I need to get to this weight. This is what I have to do. I'm actually really good with it. Like a couple times, like, I always have to have coffee in the morning, and it has creamer and it has sugar, and that's just the way it is. If that's my one healthy thing during the day, that's what it's going to be. But then, you know, like my roommate one time put little sticky notes on the coffee, and he was like, "You can do it, Bobby. You don't need sugar." And so then I just stopped taking the sugar, just to, you know, help me out. But when I'm in fight camp, it's really easy. It's just when you're off fight camp, and it's not as easy for me. Especially, I'm gonna call my boyfriend out here, because he eats like crap. And he eats like crap because he is the most athletic guy I've ever met, and he doesn't gain weight, nor does he feel effect. He doesn't feel exhausted. He doesn't feel crappy when he trains. He feels great all the time. He trains all the time. He can eat whatever he wants. Doesn't gain a pound. So it's hard when living with him when I'm trying to eat healthy, and he's like stopping at the store, you know, grabbing something bad. And I'm like, all right, I guess I'll go home and eat fish. You know, that's the hardest part, is when I'm off training camp, when he's not eating good, and you know, then we have a lot of people over all the time, like, let's get pizza. So that's hard. But when I'm in fight camp, I usually can get strict and just eat what I need to eat and do what I have to do. And then, you know, I feel more accomplished when I do win, because I know, like, what I had to go through.
That's got to be tough, though. I mean, you're sitting there watching your diet, you're cutting, you're getting ready for a fight, and he comes in with your favorite pizza, or maybe like Daniel Cormier, he's a Popeye's chicken.
Yeah, right. I'm pretty sure that every time I'm like on my way to weigh-ins, he stops at Burger King, like every single time. And and at that point, I'm so thirsty, I'm not even hungry. It makes me sick. But I'm like, I hear him like eat his burger and like slurp on his pop, and I'm just so disgusted. Like, oh my god, it's disgusting. But he said it's a good character builder. I got to get used to it.
There you go. That's a good way of looking at it. I would probably look at it a little different myself. I might be a little angry about that. Someone pulled the Whopper out.
I had to get over it, though. It's terrible.
Yeah. Hey, it's all worth it at the end of the day when you get that victory.
Right.
You know what? We're going to take a break right now for a commercial, and we'll be right back. Okay, we're back from commercial break. You know what? I got to get right to you and get this question in because I know this was something that a buddy of mine wanted me to ask you was, who do you see as the toughest challenge in Invicta as you move forward?
Let's see. I've watched a lot of them, so I don't have a specific. I don't know. It's hard because, God, I want to say something, but then I don't want people to get mad. I swear, I'm like, I don't call people out or not. All I do is want to fight the best. So,
Yep.
As honest as I can, I don't think that the champion Barb Honchak is dangerous. So I don't see her as being a dangerous fighter. Because maybe she's just been doing it long enough that she just does what she has to do to win. I see the most dangerous fighters as the girls on my level that have to prove, they have to like get the knockout, they have to get the TKO, they have to get the submission to move on. Like a good example is Deanna Bennett, Andrea Lee. They have to prove themselves and stuff. And Andrea Lee has proved herself. She just fought Roxanne Modafferi and lost in a decision. Like those girls that are very eager and hungry and new to women's pros, those are the most dangerous people. So I think that those people that I'll have the most trouble with because we have to fight for like, Barb Honchak's already the champion. She's done what she's gonna do. Obviously, she's gonna keep winning and do what she can. But I watched one of her fights live, and I honestly wasn't. And I've seen some other fights of her and been very, very impressed. I do think that she's very skilled. But the last fight that I watched of her, I wasn't really impressed. I just felt like she just played the game a little bit too much, just laid on her on the cage and did what she had to do to win. And kudos to her for doing what she has to do to win, because in all, that's what matters, is just that you won. But like I said before, I'm an entertainer, so the fact is I want a good fight, and so when I saw that, I was kind of a little disappointed that it went to be just a cage, just hold after round after round after round. So I don't see her as dangerous. I see like Deanna Bennett very dangerous. I was actually scheduled to fight her for my first Invicta debut, but it got canceled. It got changed. She had a different opponent. So I see Deanna Bennett very dangerous. And I've trained with Andrea Lee, and I know where my skill set is with her. So I know where that is. I hope that we don't have to fight because we are good training partners, and I like having her as an ally. We can help each other. But that could be a potential fight. I hope not. I hope Invicta better pay us good money for that because we're good friends. But like right now, I would say Deanna Bennett is a strong competitor of mine, just because she has to prove herself, and that's what she's doing. She's very skilled.
Well, you know what? You made a good point, because there's a lot of fighters out there, and I call them point fighters.
Right.
And listen, it's not a knock against them. As you said, they're doing what they need to do to win. Is it entertaining? Not so much. You want to see someone like yourself that goes in there to finish the fight. That's your goal, to finish the fight. You never want the judges. You don't want your future in somebody's hands that maybe doesn't have any business actually judging the fight.
Right. Yep. And Dan, the word is entertainer.
The word is entertainer. Beautiful. Yeah. Awesome. Thank you, Bobby. Now I got to bring this up too. It's a full, and nowadays, we're looking at the new breed, right? When John Jones came out and everyone was looking at, wow, we've got the new breed of fighter, well-rounded in every aspect. And obviously, if you look at the old fights of UFC and you watch how the talent has progressed, it's shocking.
It's amazing.
In such a short amount of time. Now, with your history and training in boxing, then getting into MMA, have you seen a big change in, let's say, the intelligence of training smarter, not harder? Or do you see, and in technology as well, or do you kind of see it really as pretty much the basics as it's always been?
Well, technology-wise, I'm sure it's changed some, but definitely for me, like I went from boxing, all we did was, like when we sparred, we headgeared up, gloved up, taped up, like we had a coach in a corner in each corner, and we sparred like a fight. Like we went hard. We went to, it was very, it was just hard sparring. and now, in the MMA, when I'm training, I do the hard sparring just so I feel the feel of a fight,
Mm-hmm.
But we try not to do hard sparring every day because it's mentally wearing, it's physically wearing. I'm trying to stay in it as long as I can. We do a lot of not like just drills for it. We try not to like ground and pound drills and before the fight, obviously we do a little bit more, but when I'm not in training camp, I don't like to spar that hard or lay on the ground while someone's beating me up,
Right.
Obviously they have to learn, and so do I, but there's good times and good places for it. Not all, but I remember when I first started boxing, it was hard. That's all I wanted to do. And I mean, I know that the sport has progressed. I like that I feel like a little bit more confident now in my jiu-jitsu than I probably do in my striking, because I feel like a lot of women lack that. So I'm enjoying the jiu-jitsu and enjoying training all the aspects of MMA. And I know that a lot of people, like, now when they get into MMA, they learn everything as opposed to just keeping their strength higher and higher and higher. I focus more on my jiu-jitsu and my wrestling now than ever before.
And so I've got to ask you, I know personally, if you put me on my back, I would feel like a turtle. I would be extremely uncomfortable. And I was never a wrestler.
Well, at least you can admit it. Most people don't admit it.
Yeah, well, yeah, I've been put on my back, so yeah, I'll surely admit it. Plus, you live pretty close to me, so I'm gonna stay on that side. By the way, I would love to have the opportunity to come into the gym and interview guys and just kind of get some pictures of the gym and let everybody see what it's like.
That would be awesome. That would be really cool.
That would be great. I would love to do that. But I've got to ask you about being on your back. How was it when you first started in jiu-jitsu? What was that like for you when you first got put in there and you were fighting from your back?
Well, I actually don't think that I was ever on the ground. My first 4 or 5 fights, I think it was all stand up, so I was really comfortable. And then I first started learning jiu-jitsu, and I really didn't know anything. I mean, I probably had been taught or watched an armbar and triangle. I don't remember ever really practicing. I was really immature when I first started. I didn't like to roll with people. I just looked off to the sideline and kind of laughed at them and made fun of them and didn't take it seriously at all. So my first fight that I actually hit the ground and I was on my back, I remember thinking oh God, this is not where I want to be. Get me back up, get me back up. And I had girl on top of me, obviously ground and pounding me, and I kept thinking, man, I think I remember this armbar. I think I'm gonna try to do it. And I think I tried throwing it, and it was sloppy and terrible, and I didn't get it. But I remember actually thinking it would have been so cool if I did get that, and that's what made me train even more, because I actually liked the feeling of I mean, with boxing, I have to knock a person out to stop them.
Yep.
Especially on the street, if someone comes at me, I have to knock that person out to get them to stop.
Yep.
And striking, that's what I had to rely on. I could go 5 rounds, 5 minutes apiece, with only boxing, and I have to knock that person out to fight to end the fight. But with jiu-jitsu, I can get any choke or any submission, or break their arm and the fight's over. Put them to sleep and the fight's over. So when I tried to go for that little armbar that I didn't even really know, it was really cool for me because I just wanted it really bad, weirdly bad. I wanted that submission more than a knockout, because it seemed more satisfying to me at the time. Being able to stop someone tapping out to me was really cool because I've never done it. So I never really felt that uncomfortable on my back, because that's what we do in training. We're always on our back and we're always training. Honestly, I feel like I'm almost too comfortable off my back because, someone will be going for a takedown, and I'll kind of let them get it almost. It's kind of weird. I should just keep fighting to stay on top, but I almost go, okay, I'll just lay on my back because I think I can submit you.
Yeah.
And I do have good success, and I have good sweeps. So my pro fight, the girl got on top of me for a couple seconds, landed some good elbows, but I was able to sweep her and get on top. And I know that I have good sweeps, and I know I'm going to fight someone eventually that has, good defense and stuff like that. But I am pretty confident off my back, and I'm confident with my sweeps. If I'm having trouble getting the submission, I know that, and I feel like I'm smarter. I'm smarter than that. If I can't get a submission, I'm not going to be stupid and just keep trying and trying and trying. I'm going to get up on top and do what I need to do. So I don't really feel that uncomfortable on my back anymore, just because I really do have confidence in my jiu-jitsu.
And, to me, that's a sign of, again, the sport progressing.
It is.
where you're seeing well-rounded fighters. You have to be, if you're going to compete nowadays, if you're not well-rounded, you're going to be exposed really fast.
Right, that you will, and it happens, and I hate it because I see even pros in Michigan that, and it's in a small community, you know, but I see them and they're such good, maybe good wrestlers. They're just phenomenal wrestlers, and maybe have pretty good stand up and stuff, but they lack an area. Maybe and a lot of times I see the jiu-jitsu lacking, and they get submitted every fight. They could probably win every fight, but why can't they just go, my God, I should probably learn that? Or jiu-jitsu people that go, my God, I should probably just learn striking. You need to be good at it. You do need it. Like, I see a lot of jiu-jitsu guys that don't get good at wrestling. Like, how can you submit them if you're not getting them on the ground, you know? I just think that people need to, like, wake up. I hate seeing, like, good fighters lose because they're not smart enough. And it comes down to training camps. It comes down to the coaches. If you don't have coaches in every, like, striking and wrestling and jiu-jitsu that can take you to the highest level, you need to find another place or look outside to training. We have a lot of people that train maybe at different academies because it's closest to them, but they drive down once or twice a week to do jiu-jitsu because our school is a jiu-jitsu school. Yeah. So I applaud those people that kind of wake up and go, okay. But sometimes it's too late. You know, you go 1-3 as a pro because your 3 fights you got submitted and you got maybe a knockout, but it's too late at that point because I've heard from a couple managers that every loss sets you back a year. Yeah. So, you know, that's 3 years they're set back. No, the UFC isn't going to want a 2-3 guy, even a 3-3, 8-3. Like, it just sets them back. They need to do that things. Well, that's why you're amateur, I guess, you know, is to get good at everything. So, and obviously there's going to be a time where, you know, a mistake happens and you get caught or, you know, you get hit and TKO'd or something. So, but definitely got to feel confident in everything.
Now, you definitely have some strong hands, and I've seen those hands and the result. Is there a favorite fight that you have, maybe that you had a stoppage that sticks out to you the most?
Well, my like the best stoppage I would say is my 8-second knockout, because I have the footage of the fight, but I also have footage of my training, or my like warm up. Yeah. My coach is warming me up, and we practice jab, jab, overhand, jab, jab, overhand. Because in the videos that I saw of the girl, she pulled her head back a lot when she got hit, and obviously, you know, like overhand's perfect for that. So I practice over and over again, jab, jab, overhand. I remember my boyfriend saying in the video, if you hit her with that, she will get knocked out. You shoot, you know. And so literally, there's a video of me training. Right before I had my MMA gloves on, about to walk out, I'm training jab, jab, overhand, and then I get out in the fight. And the worst part for me was I had been training so much jiu-jitsu and wrestling. That's all I wanted to do in that fight. I was like, I think she was a wrestler, and I was like, I want to beat her in that area. Like I said before, that's always what I want to do. So I've been training really hard. I told my family and friends, you're going to see some good wrestling and jiu-jitsu. Like I'm getting good at it. And then I came out, jab, jab, overhand, knocked her out. At the end of it, I was like, that's it, like 8 seconds, and it's over. I wanted people to see my wrestling and jiu-jitsu. But, you know, an 8-second knockout, you got to take. And it was cool that my coaches were able to see that that's what she did. And it was cool that they were able to know that this is what I needed to do to win. And then the fact that that's what I practiced over and over again, and that's what I got the knockout. How many times does that happen, you know? You don't practice. It really doesn't. So it was cool that I was very confident in my coaches, especially after that they were able to see like the downfall of what she does and my strengths to help me win that fight.
Yeah, exactly. And that comes down to, you know, the game planning. A lot of fighters, they go with the old adage, they flow like water, right? They go where the fight goes. And then you've got the fighters that obviously game plan, and they really game plan to a real extent. We both know that once you get in there, you know, if what you're doing, if you have a specialty, let's say your hands, and you can't knock someone out, you got to have a plan B.
Right. And that's why I find boxing kind of hard now.
Yeah.
Well, I've been like, my pro boxing matches, I'm like, man, if I can't get past their jab, what do I do, you know? And MMA, like, if I can't get past someone's hands, you just take them down, you know? So, like, I've been, like, overthinking boxing too much. I'm like, it's kind of hard that you only have your hands, you know? It seems a little bit easier because you don't have kick, you don't have to worry about all this stuff, but I just, you know, I'm like used to being able to have options, and in boxing, I'm not having much options. You know, hopefully with me training southpaw, I'll have a little bit more options. But
has it been hard not to, when you're boxing, you get in the clinch, not to fire a knee up the pipe or something?
It's not hard to not fire a knee, but I have specific takedowns I like, and in a couple of fights I've like ducked under and like got a body lock, and I'm like, okay, that's not right. They would like break us up, and I can easily see like what I want to do. So I don't like throw a leg kick or something like that, but that's not hard for me. It's really easy to separate boxing, but the mental side, like I'm like I see her like standing straight up, and I'm like, oh, I just want to leg kick her, you know, and it's kind of interesting to see that. And I made my boyfriend one time. He's like I said, 15 fights, and won every one in a first round submission. So I signed him up for a pro boxing match one time. And the guy who's fighting had over 100 fights. I mean, just 15 pro fights and like over 100 amateur fights. So I'm like, he's got a lot of experience. I actually know who the guy was. I'm like, this will be a fun fight for him. I just wanted him to like have to throw his hands, like have to, do it. And he actually won that fight. And that was his favorite fight because he had to like really fight for that. He'd all first round, never been in the second round in his other fights. And for the boxing one, he had to like get hit and keep going and keep going. And with boxing, it's all your hands, you don't have the options. And it's a little bit more tiring because in MMA you have like time to like set up things and look for different things. On the ground you could maybe breathe a little bit, but in boxing like there's not a lot of downtime. It's pretty much go go go.
Yeah And there's such a difference when you're boxing versus, let's say, when you're in there grappling and that grueling against the cage fighting. Can you speak to that? Because to me, that is the most underrated. You got fans that maybe they want to see action, everything. They don't understand. When you're against a cage like that, that's got to be the hardest part of the fighting.
It is, because your muscles are tense the whole time. I mean, you're trying to like dig for underhooks or body lock, and a lot of people are going for chokes and stuff like that, and you're burning your arms out, and your legs are in that squat position, good base. You got to always like balance yourself. Like they pull this leg up, you have to counter. And that is definitely tiring. Yeah, you'll hear people boo, 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 knee, which is fine. You do want to throw knees and elbows and stuff, but it's so exhausting. It's so tiring, and I applaud people like the wrestlers that can grind like that for hours. Like
yeah, because for me, that is for sure has to be the most grueling thing about when you're fighting in the cage, and like you're saying, throwing knees. That's great, but if you lose that balance or that person is waiting for you to fire that knee to put you on your back, you just can't throw punches or knees randomly,
And that's that's how I found out. I found out the hard way, like when I first started doing it, I only knew how to punch. I didn't learn grappling for a while. So like when I'm tied up, the girls would always like headlock a doom and grab your head and squeeze it. And I would just like, all I knew was punch and punch and punch. And I would off balance and get knocked down on the ground. And then, even I didn't know anything. So I would be like in an arm bar and I'd just be punching her because I didn't know anything. Yeah. It's just comical now, but definitely. I think every part of MMA is hard. And some fans don't really understand it at all. So I kind of get sick to my stomach. I will like want to go up to everyone at the show that's booing and be like, do you understand how hard it is for this? Do you understand like on the ground it's actually like thought out? They're not, just laying on each other, punching each other. Like that's actually like very it's kind of like beautiful in a way.
It is.
It's because I understand jiu-jitsu now, and that's why my boyfriend's one of his dreams is like to fight in Japan because they understand the ground so well that like it's kind of dead silent. They're all like always watching it and stuff, and I love watching people on the ground. As long as they're good. Like if they're just terrible and they keep getting swept, I like, oh God, stand them up. They can't even do it. But if there's two high level people on the ground, it's actually very entertaining for me. But I know that most people that come to watch the shows just want to see people get punched in the face.
Well, watching a scramble between two high-level jiu-jitsu guys, two high-level grapplers is amazing, and it is art. It is art, and
right.
It's a poetry in a sense, because you might not realize what they're doing and what they're setting up, or they're baiting you to set you up for. By the time you do, it's too late. That's why you realize it. You're in a triangle, right? Before we end the interview, I wanna thank you first of all for taking the time to talk with us. And I'm curious. Obviously, your goal is to be at the top. Obviously, you're looking at the end of summer, let's say, before you get back in there and you're able to compete. And I know from speaking to you, you are extremely competitive. I doubt that you lose at much of anything. Am I right with that?
Right. Yeah, man. You should ask my teammates. I can't do anything competitive like physically, so I'm like, come over and play Monopoly. I'll kill you at it. And like I come over and I'm like yelling and screaming at him, and my roommate's like, I'm not playing with you anymore. You get too mean.
Hey, that's what happens when you're set and you're watching the fights, right? And
Right.
you can't compete. I know that must be so frustrating. And you know what I would say to you? I would say Dominic Cruz.
I know. I know. Don't say that because he keeps getting injured.
Oh, the poor guy, though. I feel so bad. I've never seen someone go through what he did, especially after coming back, having such a great fight, such a great showing. His first finish, right?
Yeah.
So you know what? You make
Poor
sure
guy.
that you rest that baby and heal it up, so that when you come back, we can enjoy and see
Right.
you compete. Because everybody's looking forward to watching you compete. Over the last couple of days, I've had a lot of messages in regards to when was I going to interview with you and
Awesome.
what was your status, you know. And people actually asked me how your dog was.
My dog is, man, she's at the vet right now, actually. She had the puppies, obviously, but she's really young. She got a couple infections and stuff. And we had to put her, she had surgery, and took out one of her glands. And then we got her fixed too because we don't want puppies again.
Yeah.
So she got one of her glands taken out, and then it was kind of scary because it's pretty expensive, and we we don't have a lot of money to be spending on that, but we've invested a lot in that dog, and I couldn't imagine having to put her down at 2 years old. So, and actually, I had a guy, Roger Mitling, donate some money for her, so it was helpful and stuff, and anyway, she had surgery. She's fine. And then 2 days later, I noticed another infection on one of her other glands, and I started getting super sick to my stomach, thinking God, there's no way they can take out another one. Took her to the vet again, and they just gave us some more medicine and stuff, and it seems to be healing now. She just went to the vet today to get her drain tube out, and then in a couple of weeks she'll get her. The hardest part is I have to feed the puppies every 2 to 3 hours. They sleep that I feed them, and I'm exhausted, waking up all the night, and she's pretty stressed out that she can't feed them, and they're still pretty young. So, but we get rid of them the second week in March. And then we actually leave within the next day after that to go to Brazil for my boyfriend's fight. So it'll be a really nice vacation for us. I'll be so tired and done with the dogs that I'm gonna really look forward to them getting out of here.
Well, you know what? I hope he wins. I'll be looking
Okay.
forward to that. And do you have any shout outs you'd like to do? Teammates, anybody out there you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, well, I mean, pretty much everyone I ever met in my life, but no, I mean, I definitely want to thank you for taking your time to interview me, and I love just sharing my story, and hopefully it inspires other people and anyone that else is going through an injury or a setback or something. There's always time to get through it and stuff. I'm pretty young, so I'm not worried about it. But I also want to thank a couple of my sponsors: Shy Lesnar Photography, Zigner Enterprises, Steel Tattoo in Heartland. They did a really big piece on my side and my boyfriend's side, to showcase all our love for the martial arts that we're into and stuff. And they just did a wonderful job. Also, Jay General, he started finding me some sponsors and stuff before I got injured, and then I didn't even have a fight before I had the surgery, and after surgery he still kept contact and kept making sure I was okay, and he was always shouting my name out there and stuff. So I wanted to thank him for kind of always being there, even though I've been hurt and injured and stuff. And most of my sponsors have been really great with it. It's not a setback from them. They know that I'm good for it, and I'm going to keep getting stronger and stuff. So I just wanted to thank them, and obviously thank you again for having me on the show.
Well, thank you for taking the time. It was, it's a great for the fans to see the fighters as regular human beings and hear about their life and not just questions about, when you're going to punch someone next and what's going on. It really makes you a person to the people, and I appreciate it. And and I know LUB's excited to be a part of it. And, again, thank you so much, Amanda, for taking the time for the interview. And, man, I'm looking forward to seeing you fight.
Me too. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It was awesome.
Awesome.